somebody. I am somebody. No matter what the court says, what my family says, what my significant other may say, I am somebody. I'm not a me. I'm not a God.
How healthy are your boundaries? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say your boundary levels are? If 1 was the worst and 10 was the best, are you a 2 or a 3 or a 5? Today we're going to talk about how to maintain healthy boundaries. Now, one of the things is when it comes to maintaining healthy boundaries is you got to make sure that you get the distractions out of your life. We live in a world today of dramatic distractions. I mean, think about this for a second. Did you know that the average cell phone user or the average smartphone user gets 47 notifications a day? And advertisers send out to those smartphone users literally 617 million notifications a day. What does that mean? That means that all the time on a regular basis we're getting a ding or a text or a bzzz or something like that where we're always being distracted or pulled away from something we're doing. The unfortunate part is that a lot of these times when we overstep that boundary to see what the notification is, we're driving, we're working, we're doing things we need to be doing, maybe spending time with family or loved one, but we get pulled away by the distraction. What does that mean for those who deal in recovery? Think about that for a second. What are your distractions? Is it that friend that always seems to come around right when things are going well in your life, but every time he comes around, you're going to the bar and having a drink, and then you know one after one, and one after another, and another one, and before you know it, one is turned into 5, and 5 is turned into too many? Is it the situation where you're constantly knowing that you shouldn't be going over here because every time you go over there and hang out with these people, it's always the same thing? What are your distractions? You got to look at the distractions in your life to keep you away from the places that you want to go, the things you're trying to accomplish in life. The second thing you want to do is you want to stay away from unplanned planning. What does unplanned planning look like? Think about this for a second. You wake up every morning and you just live life vicariously. You know, que sera, sera, whatever will be, Hakuna Matata. You have no plans, you have no goal, you have nothing that you want to accomplish for the day. So when you have that kind of lifestyle, what begins to happen is people come into your life. So instead of you following your agenda, you begin to follow theirs. And you get drawn away every single time, and then you sit back and wonder, what happened? How did I wind up here? Because you got into a place where you allowed your boundaries to be pushed away. The next thing you want to make sure that you do is you want to put yourself in a place where you're not trying to save the world. It's amazing to me, and I think addicts are probably worse to this, and I can relate because I used to do this also. When it comes to saving the world, listen, the only world that you're called to save is the world that you're called to be in, your realm of influence or your realm of people that you hang around. But you can't save everybody. First thing you have to do is protect yourself. That's the first thing you need to do. So if you know that you're struggling with addictions, there's some places you know you can't go help somebody because it always leads to something you don't want to be in or a place that you don't want to go. So the first thing you want to make sure you do is you protect yourself. I talked about this because I can relate to this, okay? I used to do this on a regular basis. Here's what used to happen. I work as a chemical dependency, a recovery coach. I help people who struggle with addictions, which is something I love to do, and I love doing it no matter, it's probably the greatest thing that I could ever do in my life is to help somebody overcome their addictions, help get them out of their mess. But here's what my problem was. My problem was the fact that once I was done on my 9 to 5 doing those type of things, the 9 to 5 began to run into 9 to 6, 9 to 7, 9 to 8. I got a phone call coming in and saying, hey, can you go talk to my loved one about this? Can you come talk to my relative about this? Can you go get this guy out of this crack house? All these things would happen after work, to the point that there was even times where people would knock on my door and say, hey, can I talk to you about my relative? I got something going on, and my relatives is deep in their addiction. Can we do something as far as an intervention or something like that? Well, I'm sitting there with my family trying to have dinner. I got people knocking on my door. I got people calling me. I got people wanting to be into a position where they want me to come and help them right now. But see, what happened is that I lost focus on where my job ended and where my home life began, because the lines got pushed, the boundaries got pushed away, and I couldn't take care of myself to the point where it became overcoming. So I had to start saying no. And when people call me now and say, can you help me? Or my relative is doing this, or I'm strung out like that. What can you help me? And I say, yes, I can. Dial 1-800, which is the place I work. I can't wave a magic wand and try to get them in treatment or try to talk them into going to treatment. They have to want to do it themselves. There's nothing that you can do in that position. So I had to start setting those boundaries. I had to start putting myself in a position where I had to protect myself as well. Now, this the subject of boundaries we're going to be talking about for a little bit, because that is a lot of different great ways to be able to set boundaries. It's a great way to set those areas where you don't let yourself get tripped up or lost. But next week, we're going to talk about how to set those healthy boundaries. And I'm going to show you a chart that I use personally on how to set your boundaries. There's a lot of great ideas and opportunities out there, but the bottom line is there's a way that I use, and I'm going to just share it with you to give you the opportunity to see what I do as far as setting healthy boundaries. I'm Deryl Glaze, and don't forget, you matter and that you are somebody.